Ashokan pillar. And Indian subcontinent is full of them. The easiest way to remember or understand Ashoka's contribution to Indian history is to look at Indian currency. So you see that they are the motif on it, the tigers on the currency, or the Indian flag, the chakra, the wheel in the center of Indian flag. They come from pillar capitals which were erected by Ashoka. Now this is way back in the 4th century. And Ashok is one of the good guys in Indian history. We all love him very much. He's a very, very grand king, and he's one of the better guys around we've studied about. He once controlled pretty much the entire Indian subcontinent. So from Afghanistan to Bengal to way down south, which is a massive piece of land. It's not an easy job to control the entire subcontinent. Now Ashok first went on, of course, many wars to conquer this area, and then once he was the king of the entire subcontinent, he decided that the wars and the violence is not such a great thing. He decided to give it up all. Not the kingdom, of course, only the violence. So he turned Buddhist. He converted to Buddhism. He decided that violence is a bad thing, so now let's convert. And he made Buddhism, or a policy based on non-violence influenced by Buddhism, his state policy. And under that state policy, he went around putting up inscriptions on rock surfaces and putting up pillars like these, all inscribed with his state policy, his Dhamma, which is a corruption of the word Dharma, or righteousness, your conduct, righteous conduct. And all these inscriptions, don't go blind trying to stare at it, but if you can manage to see some sort of a writing on it, this is Brahmi. Yeah? And when Feroz Shah came across this, obviously nobody could read Brahmi. Brahmi was lost for a very, very long time. It was rediscovered, you could say, by the British again, much later. So in the 14th century, when Feroz Shah got it here, he called Brahmins, all sorts of knowledgeable people, scholars of all kinds, to interpret this. And nobody could understand what is this. Nobody could make heads or tails out of it. The story goes that one smart Brahmin, he thought that let's make some buck here, there's a chance to impress the king. So he told the king, look, what it says is that, it makes a prophecy. It says that this pillar would be on earth for a very, very long time, and then a very nice, grand, intelligent king called Feroz Shah would come along, who would transport it to Delhi and then have it put up on a magnificent building. So I don't really know what happened to that Brahmin, whether Feroz Shah was really taken in by that argument or not. But that's one of the stories of what happened when Feroz Shah went about interpreting this pillar and what's written on it. The Feroz Shah called it Minar-e-Zareen. Minar is a tower, Qutub Minar, a tower. And Zareen is golden. So the golden column or the golden tower. That's because the rock was polished so much that it shone. And it shone brilliantly. You can still see a little bit of shine on it. Yeah? And this sort of work, stone being highly polished, was typical of Mauryan times. And for the later generations who saw this, including Feroz Shah, including European travelers to the subcontinent, they all were quite amazed at it, that each one had a different name for it. Feroz Shah called it the Golden Column. He put it up here as a monumental show-off. He pretty much says that. He says that he puts it here as a monument for future generations to remember. European scholars, some call it a brass column. Others think that it was a marble column brought in from Rome. So all kinds of interpretations about it, but nobody was really able to tell what it was. And this one is still standing in one piece. There is another column like this which Feroz Shah got, and that one is standing in the northern ridge close to the Delhi University. That's all broken up and it has been pieced together. It looks quite ugly, but it's still there. Still there. So we have two Ashokan pillars in Delhi and one inscription also. The inscription is in a pretty sad state. It's near Nehru Place. So that's also quite a trudge to locate it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are multiple inscriptions here. One is the original one which Ashoka put. And Then later people who came in have also tried to put in some of it here. One inscription which is closer to Devanagari, in which we write Hindi, is a 12th century inscription about a king, about the victories of a Chahaman king. Chahaman was a dynasty which ruled in North India. Then there are some miscellaneous graffiti rather than inscriptions. One is about an ascetic saint, another one is about a merchant, and so on. So they're different sorts of things.
What was Ashoka's policy? I'm sorry. Do we know what's on here from Ashoka?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Generally, in a general level, most of his inscriptions talk about his policy of Dhamma, which means righteousness, not only in personal conduct, but in terms of state policy, and with an underlying emphasis on non-violence. So, and in this particular one, it's quite interesting. He mentions that, of course, there's a little bit of philosophical faff about what is morality and righteousness, and then one specific injunction which says that on his when he had completed 26 years of his reign, he put out a policy that the following living creatures which should not be harmed, which included white doves, turtles, green ants, and a few more creatures like this. So he provides a list of...
That's on there.
Yeah, that's on there.
This is sandstone, right?
I mean, it must be... Who made it? I mean, the king we know, but it's Ashok.
No. So Feroz Shah found it.
Ashok had, way back in the 4th century, put up these pillars all over the Indian subcontinent. So there are multiple pillars, yeah?
So it was constructed.
His reign. And Feroz Shah only refound it. Yes, I do. Yeah, there's an elephant here. Yeah, I read
The
somewhere.
stone is
But elephant is an important part.
Sandstone. That's what you see in Connaught Place and other Baolis or stepwells in Delhi. So this one is circular. It still has water. That's unique enough. There's not much water left in Delhi. And it also has ornamental provision for flow of water. So we are at only the upper level. We're going down to the lower one where you can see that there are openings where they have made provision for the flow of water through channels, and it's meant for an ornamental flow of water. Now this Baoli was not the only water body in this complex. You think of it as a capital city, there would have been of course much more provision for gardens, for pleasure pavilions, and of course for the simple purpose of irrigation as well. But this is what survives. Apparently there's some sort of a channel connecting the Baoli, the stepwell, with the river. But given that the river itself has shifted course, I'm not sure what's the status of the channel anymore, but this seems to have water, and it has been around for a while. They still use this water on the lawns around us. So they have put up some sort of a pump. You can see some machines around the water, yeah? So they still use it. And we're lucky that they have opened it up. They're really, really anxious that nobody should get in. Yeah. So there's a staircase through that opening. We'll go down to the level below. It might be the staircase is narrow, probably not much light there, so please be careful. Water. these.
Yeah, probably what will
Yeah.
from there, dropping
From
down
there, you can see some sort of an opening over there. Some of it is closed,
Closed,
but
packed
yeah.
up, yeah.
So steppers do both. We can obviously, there are not many steps around, that's true in this case.